Hi everyone, I'm Jessica Toms, and in my video series, I'm teaching instructors who don't have a background in education how to make their classes more engaging for their adult students. In this video, I'm going to talk about how to incorporate active learning into small classes. In terms of small, I'm referring to classes being held most likely in a regular sized classroom and not a giant lecture hall or auditorium. Let's start off talking about a few active learning techniques that can be incorporated into your course. I'm going to address 4 active learning techniques that might be slightly more suitable for the smaller classes of students. The first one is peer learning and discussion. Learning from their peers is a great learning tool, and there are a few different ways to discuss issues for learning purposes. Case-based problem solving is giving students a problem and letting them figure out the best way to make a decision and handle the issue. Group work can be a controversial thing to implement among students, but it has great learning benefits when all students fully participate. Lastly, we'll talk about various kinds of simulations and the different ways they can be implemented with almost any kind of course topics and information. A few things to think about when wanting to start discussing among your students. You can consider a common experience that maybe a few of your students have had and let them reflect upon what they have learned out of it and how it applies to course topics. Controversy can be a beneficial way for students to learn both sides of the issue at hand. You as the teacher or instructor can play the role of devil's advocate, however make sure to respect all opinions and make sure your students understand that as well. Another way to incorporate controversy is to allow students to form teams and debate an issue and present their viewpoints and supporting arguments to the class. Pose questions to your class. They can be factual, application, interpretation, problem, connective, cause and effect, comparative, evaluative, and critical. Inner circle or fishbowl is where you divide the class in half, and one half will be the inner circle or discussion group, while the other half sits on the outside of the circle, taking notes and observations of the discussion. The next class flip the circles and repeat the process. After each of these discussion ideas, use the last 10 minutes of class to bring everyone back together and get feedback by either having students write a summary of issues, topics discussed, create pro-con lists, and overall conclusion. To encourage discussion in your class, consider the following ideas. Arrange seats to promote discussion among the class. Encourage students to meet their peers in the class. Some students feel more comfortable talking in the discussion if they feel like they're talking with their friends. Allow students to lead the discussion. Research has shown students have more curiosity in the topics being talked about and felt free to ask questions and express opinions. You as a teacher can walk around and listen in on the conversations and just help them from keep getting confused and keeping them on track. At the same time, limit your comments so that your students are free to come up with their own ideas and respond to one another. Along with that, carefully and thoughtfully correct wrong answers. Any put down or disapproval will keep students from speaking up in the future. Correct in a positive way so that they understand and learn to correct what they thought was wrong. Case-based problem solving allows students to put their knowledge of information to use on something that maybe is a real-world problem or similar. These are great for developing analytical skills and applying academic theories to real-world problems. Try to be as realistic as possible when developing a case-based problem, or maybe pick a real one that has happened in the past. When creating a case, the situation should include backgrounds and facts, conflicts and dilemmas, and a sequence of events. This way, the students have all the appropriate information needed to make a decision and a course of action to implement that decision. Group work is incorporated by a lot of instructors and teachers. However, it's not always a favorite thing for students to participate in because they worry about a teammate not following through on their piece of the project. Despite that, working in small groups allows students to learn and retain more information than when taught by most other instructional techniques. Research has also shown that students tend to be more satisfied overall with their classes. Students also come away from working on a group project or assignment with a shared sense of purpose, high morale, and motivation after being able to apply the information hands-on with a team. There are 3 types of group work to consider. Informal group learning is when the instructor creates a random group of students during a single class. This may include just turning to a nearby neighbor and discussing the answer to a question for 2 minutes or so. Formal group learning is when students are put together in a group to perform a specific task and keep working together until everything is complete and evaluated. A good rule of thumb is to keep groups to around 4 or 5 students each, as larger groups can constrain the amount of opportunities to participate. These may include working on a project, a lab experiment, etc. Lastly, study groups are a long-term group, perhaps for a semester, with the same membership throughout the course, and provide each other with support, encouragement, and assistance in finishing up course requirements. Simulations are great ways to apply hands-on information or topics presented in your class. They can make a lasting impact on your students and be a unique way for them to learn and retain the information. Simulations can vary but include role-playing or acting out in class, board games, or virtual worlds or video games. Simulation allows students to be creative while also having a hands-on learning experience that can be very close to experiencing something similar in the real world. Thank you for watching this video on incorporating active learning into small classes. Check out my other videos for helpful tips on making your classes effective learning environments for your students. Thanks.